Oh shit, we're live. So we're talking about flow state and how the most famous musicians, artists, painters from all around the world for all of time have accessed this source of infinite intelligence and allowed it to flow through them. And nowadays we have content creators such as yourself and myself accessing this state to finally allow it to reach the masses through the metasphere.
Amen.
It's super interesting to be able to tap into it every day. Do you find it something? Do you find flow is something that you're able to find daily?
Yeah, for sure. It just depends on if it was deep and lasted a long time, or yeah, like some days, you're like, damn, I'm in burnout and something's wrong because you didn't feel like you flowed once.
It is sudden bursts of peace, I find. It's almost, I wrote in my journal as the yoga of creation.
Wow.
Creation or union through creation. Being able to align yourself so closely so that you can channel it through and let your ego take a step to the side.
I would love to pop up an image on the screen. Have you ever seen that really trippy artist who draws where you can see like the aura and the inside of people and the veins and like all these surrounding images inside the image? And there's one where there's like an angelic thing looking into the back of the head, and then the light carrying like through the artist's eyes onto a canvas and through their hands into the paintbrush. So you can see that something divine is just looking into us and through us, and then we're dictating that through whatever art form we use, whether that's content creation or painting. It's something we're channeling, and it's union. Like you said, I love that so much. It's a glimpse, a connection with a creator momentarily, as long as we're in flow, like truly there.
The artist you're talking of, Alex Gray, give him a shout out. He super profound artwork, actually located not too far from me. I haven't been to his studio, but apparently he has a very cool like walk-through garden studio in New York, which I'll have to check out. But it's something we should strive for every day. Losing ourselves in creation. At least I find losing yourself in flow. The more that you can live in flow, the more peaceful your life's going to be. The more you can live in flow, the more you're going to be living in love. The more you're living in love, the more you're going to be free. So the whole idea of yoga and the people set out on the spiritual path to get enlightened and such, it's finding flow. Can you love learning every day and get into a flow reading? Can you create music every day, get into a flow creating music and songwriting? It's when you find that place of selflessness and creativity, like you are connected.
Do you think ADHD is the opposite of flow?
Yes.
Like, what if?
Do you think you have ADHD?
No. But I know some people that I feel like I've seen wrongly prescribed this medication, and I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but I just think that our ancestors used to walk and run and sprint and chase and move all day long, and now we're like, sit down in class, stare at the screen, don't get up, don't shake out your body. And they can't focus, but also our brains are so overstimulated with TV, music, go, go, go. We're never taught how to value alone time as children and like growing into adulthood. So what if so many people feel like they can't focus because flow has been beat out of them? Like the last time they felt flow is when they were a little kid.
Yeah, there's not many kids that are able to place their attention into something they love to do. And that's a Rockefeller education to blame. Fucking Rockefeller.
Yeah.
Making factory workers, sticking people behind desks and screens, slaving their lives away for a system that doesn't help them.
It's messed up.
Because we're in school, we're taught to walk in straight lines and make 90-degree turns and raise our hand to speak and be obedient.
Be quiet.
Be quiet.
Don't sing.
Right?
Don't play.
But you lose your sense of individuality when you conform.
Oh,
And
fit in.
Exactly.
You have to fit in.
You have to fit in, or else you're made fun of not only by the other students, but you're exploited by your teachers and such, right? If you're unique, you're different. It's looked down upon in today's world.
But then I finished high school, and around that time, I'd started growing really fast on social media. And for the first time, I was rewarded for being different. When the whole time I was getting bullied in school. And all of a sudden, I found this freedom and this appreciation for being unique, for standing out, for going against the grain, away from what everyone says is normal.
What do you feel like has been one gift that you've leaned into since then that's really allowed that for you?
Well, the newest one I've been developing is the ability to speak. Like, I grew up so shy and so blocked. And even doing TikTok for a few years, there was no speaking content. But recently, YouTube's coming back around, podcasts are in, now Reels exist, and people are speaking in content. So it's something I've had to develop, also in business, just in sales. But speaking to on camera and long form has really changed my life with how I interact, with how I structure my thoughts. Because if you speak on something out loud, you'll realize you don't understand it that well. If someone starts saying it's called a lexical gap, and it means they haven't really thought through it enough yet to be able to riff on it for a long time. And when I started, I realized I couldn't talk for a lengthy period of time. And I think most people can't, especially with short form scrolling now. It just changes the way your brain thinks and works. So I recommend everyone watching to be really careful about your inputs and try to just start consuming really intelligent people, the best speakers that have ever existed, giving the best speeches, and you will start to embody that. That's something that I've been working on.
When people are put in a spot to speak, it's easier to think about speaking in front of people or speaking to a camera than it is the first time you try and do it. Right?
How was it for you?
I've been on camera for quite a long time. I've been on camera. I was giving the morning announcements in high school. I was on screen. Good morning, Brick Township High School. I'm Corey Engelhart here with your morning announcements.
You have that voice.
Yeah, it's the radio voice or the television voice, whatever it is. But I would put these silly, goofy videos up on the morning announcements and then introduce myself and putting yourself out there like that. I mean, I did that young. I was 14, 15, 16, 17 probably.
That's so cool.
And that sort of got the fear of cameras out. I'm not afraid to be on camera. I'll be naked on camera. I don't really care.
Cut.
For me, the cameras isn't scary because when I'm speaking to a camera, I'm speaking to myself. It's a conversation I'm having with Corey. But when you introduce other people, there is that element of a bit of nervousness that arises. Even in smaller group settings, when you're speaking to any more than, 5 or 6 people, a lot of people get butterflies in their tummy.
I do.
Yeah?
Yeah. We're just at the bioculture retreat and people are introducing themselves. And I'm like, my heart is pounding. And I'm like, what's important that I share about myself right now? And then I just trusted the flow and prayed that what wanted to express would.
Do you have a 30-second elevator pitch?
It depends on who my audience is. So who's our audience?
Your audience is me right now. You got to pitch Nikki.
Okay. So grew up really shy and things were tough, kind of diamond in the rough energy, just didn't know any better. And through some crazy things in my life, my dad passing away, synchronistically meeting Jack around the same time, him opening up and expanding my mind with YouTube, and business, and how I relate to myself. We ended up moving to San Diego after taking an emotional intelligence class and wound up with a perfect opportunity to go out there. And I went on a series of side quests where I finally figured out how to love myself, how to forgive myself, and how to dream really big and get really comfortable with the uncomfortable. Ever since then, been building this amazing new thing, Spark Wildfire, bringing creators, brands together, scaling to change the world, and at the same time, still pushing the comfort edge in my own personal brand and pioneering the new way side by side, running into the fear, running into the fire, sparking some change, always evolving, breaking out of the matrix. How was that? I want to do it more often.
Yeah, when you get put on a spot. So I was going to networking events last year often. I was going to like speed dating networking events, all sorts of different things. And I'm 23 years old walking into a big conference hall filled with professionals wearing suits and ties.
Yeah, and it's always, what's your intro?
Uh-huh. And I'm like 30-second intro, handing out business cards. I don't even have a product yet. So I had to practice that a bunch. I was thankful to have a couple people that were able to help me out with the elevator pitch, which one's name was Scott Bliss, he was great, and then Beth Conway was another one, helped me out. I'll shout them out in the podcast if they ever watch it. But yeah, it is interesting to try and wrap up your whole being in 30 seconds.
Would you say mine was an accurate thing?
That was accurate.
Based on how much you know me.
If I had to coach you.
Yeah, I didn't have a direction when I started. Yeah. I didn't know what my endpoint was gonna be.
I haven't done it in a while. So
if I had one tip I've learned about speaking, it's know what's your endpoint. So then what's the hook? And then fill in the middle. And that can be like say 3 things, like teach 3 things. Technically, to go long form, The Future is an amazing YouTuber, and he says teach 5 things is what's best as a teacher. Like 3 is too vague, more than 5 is too much. So if you're gonna make like a video, like teach 5 things, that's off the point though. But that's good for content, but not 30-second intros.
Could be, it could be. So,
what's your 30-second intro, Corey?
You want me to give one? Okay. My name is Corey Engelhart, and I help people get in touch with themselves through creativity and self-discovery. I have a business called Quantum Creations, LLC, where we focus on creating high-impact, energizing video media content for brands in the holistic health and wellness space. I love working with people that love what they are doing, so aligning myself with high-value individuals who are envisioning creating a happier and healthier planet Earth is what I'm all about. How's that?
Dang, put me to shame.
So I don't know. I've worked on it a couple times.
Yeah. That was memorized.
No. That was just free. That was free riff. So something that helps with the elevator pitch is you tell people what you help them do. So if you say, I'm Nikki Neisler, I help creators X, Y, and Z, right? Like you help people discover themselves, reach new audiences. And then you plug in what your business is, right? And then you plug in who you work with after.
Discover themselves and reach new audiences. That's fire. Whoever is watching this for me, editor or Jack, take note of this, please.
This is good. But yeah, so I mean, I know we started this on flow, and I find myself flowing on podcasts. And honestly, being in the Spark community with you has influenced me to really lean into the podcasting, lean into the YouTube content. And I've been posting every day, and I just feel so confident in the way that I speak. I felt confident in the way that I've spoken for years, but I haven't really leaned into it in a way where I can truly connect with people. Like on the YouTube platform, like this is going to be on, like I can truly connect with people and hang out with them and they can get to know me. And I feel like that's super powerful.
Absolutely. It's a lot better of a chance for people to feel like they know you and they can connect with you over a 30-minute or 1-hour video, rather than imagine how many of your shorts they have to watch to feel that same impact. 100, right? It's relationships are all about time spent together. So what about this? What if people also get in flow with you and with your content? I was thinking the other day how annoying it was when we used to watch TV and click through all the channels and be searching for something to watch and there's nothing good. And now we're kind of doing the same thing, scrolling on social media, hoping we find something that's good enough to land on for a second. But on YouTube, it's like, nah, like put it on, cozy up, hang out. You're watching this. Powerful.
So something that I was super interested in, I was reading The Kabbalion, if you're familiar with it.
Jack had one. I never read it.
So the Kabbalion goes into Hermeticism, and a concept they talk about in that, which was super profound to me, was the fact that the same way you can lose yourself in consumption, you lose yourself in creation. The best artists, when they get into this flow, they lose themselves into creation. But that flow feeling that the artists get is the same feeling that people who live unconsciously get when they watch television and scroll through social media and such. But it is just different.
It's losing yourself.
It's different degrees of the same thing. It's different
degrees
of the same thing. So consumption and creation inherently are the same exact thing, but varying degrees of that thing.
So, have you read The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield?
I have not.
You would love it. And his premise, salute. His premise is that there's this thing called resistance, and it's our invisible enemy that no one even talks about, and it's really hard to recognize. And it's this force stopping us from doing the work we're here to do on this planet, our creative work. And when we don't follow that creative flow, that intuition, the divine knocking at the door, we end up with an addiction or with an overconsumption, or like shopaholic, workaholic, alcoholic. They're all on that spectrum of repressed creative energy, which makes sense with what you just said, is the overconsumption and the flow are the same. It's the same with, like, are you listening to your artist side and are you creating things? Or is that energy going to get twisted to where then you have all this anxiety and stress because you're not living in alignment with yourself? And then what do we do to make that feel better? We can get creative and then that just turns into light, or we can overconsume something and like numb it and distract it.
People are sad and sick because they don't know where to place their energy in ways that help them and serve them.
Yes.
We were talking about ADHD before. ADHD is a superpower. If I went to the doctor and tried to get prescribed for ADHD when I was a child, I'm sure I would have had ADHD. But I figured out a way how to harness this superpower. This hyperactivity of my brain is a detriment to my well-being if I don't know how to harness it and direct my attention into things that serve me or serve the world. Right? But if you could take your attention, your energy, and project it into things that are creative, into things of service, you're going to create and live a fruitful life. Right? And I used to not be able to direct my energy into the right things. I used to direct my energy into vaping and smoking pot all the time and getting drunk and watching South Park and other stupid cartoons. But now I take that energy and I direct it into creating music, into building a business that I love, and traveling and networking with people that I love hanging out with. And I direct my energy and my attention into doing these things that serve me and ultimately serve the world.
Why do you think it brought you down that typical college unhealthy path first?
Well, because it's easy. It's easy, and that's what everybody else is doing. Like, it's easy to turn the television on and get high. And it's easy to cop out and eat dessert every night and not cook your own meals and get fast food and scroll through your phone. It's hard in the beginning to sit down with yourself and close your eyes and ask yourself what's wrong. And that's the most daunting part, why people don't change their lives, because it's fucking scary. You lose yourself. Or the self that you thought you knew.
Lose yourself to find yourself.
That's it.
New version. But it happens in the uncomfort zone, right? Out of the comfort zone, it's gonna hurt, and most people live their lives just playing. Have you heard of the saying, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose?
Yeah. You're only competing with yourself. You know, they say, oh, what do they say?
Wait, listen up. I saw.
They say comparison is the thief of joy, is what I was going to say.
Okay, but also in my high school math class, I remember someone had written on the whiteboard in the previous class period, you're like, don't compete with everyone. Your only competition is who you were yesterday. Something like that. Like, and that really changed my perspective of, wow, I don't have to try to compare to anyone else but who I was yesterday. So if I'm even 1% better, that's massive. And that's why I really like habits and habit tracking. And that's something that got me to really focus on the right things for me and take accountability if I was actually showing up for them. If I was actually showing up for those habits.
Yeah, habits are everything. Stacking days, compounding activities, right?
Stacking wins.
Stacking wins. It is the little things that create the bigger whole. It's all of the little things. And it's easy in the beginning when you first wake up to like, oh shit, maybe this is how I'm supposed to be living my life, or this is not how I want to be living my life. There's a lot of shit to change because you have the habits around.
Right.
There's a lot of things to change. But then when you start to live a life that you love living, those habits naturally fall off with time. The habits that you feel called to, when you step into who you are, you just naturally step into the things that will be serving you. You naturally pick up books because you genuinely want to read, not because you have to read 10 pages a day, right? I'm sure you've read all these self-growth books like I have. And it's like, you have to do this and this every day. You have to journal in the morning. You have to meditate for 15 minutes. It's like, no, like that's it. Quite literally, that's just to make it seem natural to you.
You know how when you first learned how to drive a car, it took 110% of your attention to survive? And then, eventually soon you start breezing through a intersection and wondering if it was green.
And texting on the parkway.
No. But I'm saying because you're just like, you go on autopilot because you've done it so many times that it goes to a different track of your brain, and our brains run on 2 tracks, like the conscious and the subconscious. Something is a habit the second it crosses the threshold into subconscious. So if you can tie your shoes without looking, same thing. So how do we do a new action and hold ourselves to it every single day until it becomes subconscious? Like, you don't need to force yourself to brush your teeth because you've done it so many times. So habit tracking is good to just make it to the point where it starts feeling natural. And then, you don't need to stop tracking it. You don't need to track it anymore. It'll fall.
Well, it's less about the habit, the physical action itself, and more about how you associate yourself with that action, I find.
The identity.
The identity. When you make the things that you do your identity, when you turn your identity from a pot-smoking hippie in college who happens to play football to the businessman who works out twice a day and travels the world and has a beautiful girlfriend and family, that was my reality before, and then that's my life after. And the habits that correspond with my own self-identity just come along with it.
So what changed? How did you do it?
What changed for me was closing my eyes. I started looking in, and I started asking questions and paying attention to the world outside of me. And it's a constant unfolding process. But the biggest thing that I did was I started meditating, honestly. I started to close my eyes and ask myself why I was that way and why I didn't like being that way.
Who taught you how to meditate?
Me?
How did it start? You're just like, I'm going to try this thing?
The first, I didn't realize that I'd been meditating for years. Or maybe not years, maybe a year, 2 years. I had gotten really into listening to music, and I would just close my eyes and lay in my bed, and I'd listen to this song Oceans by John Butler just like 2 times over again. It was like a 12-minute song, and I would just have my eyes closed and breathe, and it just brought me to a place where it was like, wow, like this is peace. And I didn't realize that what I had been doing the whole time was I was meditating. That was in turn meditation. And also I had been practicing meditation before bed for years without realizing. I would lay in bed with my hands on my chest and try and stay still as long as I could to try and have lucid dreams. So I thought that was cool. But in turn, I was just sitting with myself. But to turn that awareness inward consciously and like put a label on it and make it part of my identity really allowed me to start to notice what those changes I needed to make on my life were, regarding my diet, regarding the people I surround myself with, regarding where I should be placing my time and energy, what I want to be creating.
So what if someone said, well, it's not just easy to change my identity, it's my identity? What would you say?
Do you like your identity? Do you enjoy being you? Some people may not. It's a sad reality.
But do you think they're going to say, okay, but still, that doesn't mean I can just change it? What did you say?
I say, well, who do you want to be? Right? And you tell me who you want to be, and I say, okay, well, what would you do today if you were that person? Fucking do it. Like, it's not whatever you envision yourself to be and how you envision your life to feel. You just have to take action. It's not about thinking about it. Manifesting your dreams doesn't happen by thinking about it. It doesn't happen through the intellect. It happens through action in this physical plane, taking action.
And emotion. Like, if anything, yes. It's not the head, it's the heart. Like, when you're visualizing with your eyes closed and you're feeling what it feels like. Oh, Jack, I just realized I think I manifested this place, because before we came to Tulum, we were still in Guatemala. And I was really visualizing my feet in this sand right behind our villa. And that was long before I actually pitched any places to stay. And right now we're in this luxury Villa Privada in Tulum. And they're hosting us, and we're creating content here. And I feel like I visualized that, number one. But number two, I actually took action. Like, I talked to you guys, figured out what other creators wanted to come, ChatGPT'd up an email, adjusted it, got Nicole's feedback, sent it, and negotiated a couple times. But then things came down to the last minute. Like we were all packed up with our bags, waiting to come over here, waiting for confirmation the other day. And then we said, hold on, hang on, guys. Keep manifesting. It's going to pull through. And we trusted to the last minute, and it worked. And now we're at a luxury villa, being it till we become it. No one gave us permission that, hey, you can go work with a luxury villa now. We just decided, like, yeah, we're open to that and deserving of that.
Well, we decided that that this is what we intended to create, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like manifesting is not I don't look as manifesting as something you do. It's not a verb for us to oh, I'm manifesting this, right? Like there's certain people who say that, and it's just like, no, dude, you're just thinking about it. Like thinking about it isn't the same as manifesting it. Like manifesting it is taking an idea and sailing your ship at that idea with an elevated emotion, feeling what it feels like, feeling gratitude for what it feels like before. Like when you say you're manifesting this place, you felt what it felt like to put your feet in the ground, and it wasn't the fact that your feet were in this beautiful sand, it was the fact that you felt love and gratitude in your heart when you had your feet in that sand.
Yeah, that's how it felt.
When you have love and gratitude in your heart before something happens, you are going to take action to create that as your reality. That's the thing. That's the inherent motivation. The inherent motivation isn't big pay stacks or this material things, nice cars, or this house was not the motivation. The motivation is the fact that we wanted to feel free. You know? If that makes sense.
Makes a ton of sense, and it's something that I feel like we're really not taught at all. And I recommend to you guys a book by Neville Goddard called "The Feeling Is the Secret," and it goes deep into this. And I'd say that's a really huge factor, and that's why meditation is also so powerful, right? Because you're changing your emotional state, the state of your current life, any challenges or any troubles you're having, any lower, denser emotions, it all fades away into peace and bliss while you're meditating. So it's shifting that emotional state and releasing that current reality to step into a new quantum possible reality.
You hit the nail on the head.
Thank you.
Everything that you could ever want is right here. It's not some physical thing. It's right here. It's in your heart. It's love. We all have it. We're all living it. So that's our time for today. We're talking all flow, talking all things creativity.
Corey, thank you for having me.
Nikki, thank you for having me. We're talking all things consciousness, spirituality, self-realization on this channel. So click, watch that next video. And we love having you here, so all love to you.
Woo! Stuff down below. Go check it out.